Hello, my name is Julio Suna. I am Mr. Ang's Period 3 Math 5 class, and this is my course evaluation. Alright, so the directions were to write legibly and honestly and respectfully on this piece of paper that Mr. Ang gave us. It's called course evaluation. And he gave us different questions and listing two different things. So I'm going to be speaking about my two things that I wrote on each. So the first one was list two specific things Mr. Ang did to effectively facilitate the learning process for this math class. And for my first one I wrote, he made sure to involve the whole class in the learning. Mr. Ang does a really good job of making sure everyone's voices is heard in the class. He has these little flashcards that he goes and picks everyone else in the class, so he isn't always picking the same people in the class, the people who raise their hands. So I thought that was pretty cool, something new coming into this math class. For the second one I wrote, he kept us accountable for our work and actions, game plans. Really, there was really no reason for us not to know what homework we had because we were always writing it down. And then whiteboard detentions, with our actions, making sure we were always doing what we were supposed to be doing, what the rules in Mr. Ang's class were. For the second thing, our second bracket, it was to describe two things Mr. Ang did to hinder / prevent from learning mathematics, and I wrote, to be completely honest, nothing. Mr. Ang was the first math teacher I've actually learned from. He taught differently, and that was really interesting to me. I've never had a math teacher like him. And then for the second one I wrote, one thing I will say that sometimes prevented my mathematical learning was my partners weren't always so helpful, but that's nothing Mr. Ang could do to improve. It was just the people I was working with. For the third bracket, it was state two things you did successfully in Mr. Ang's classroom. I wrote, I think I participated pretty well, and I think that benefited me because I learned the lessons better. So anytime Mr. Ang would say, class say this, class say that, I'd make sure I'd say it because it really helped me remember what we were doing and key terms from the vocabulary, from the packets. So that was pretty cool. And the second thing was, I think I was pretty good about turning in my homework on time. I don't know, I knew Mr. Ang expected something of us, and so I just made sure I always had my homework turned in on time. For the fourth bracket, it was explain two things you learned in Mr. Ang's classroom, mathematics or life. But my first thing was I learned in class was that I equaled square root of -1. It seems small, but it was very helpful, especially in the lesson we're in right now. It was I remember Mr. Ang called on me, he's like, Julio, what does I equal? And I was like, I'm getting there. And he's like, what does I equal? And I'm like, oh, the square root of -1. And I was wondering why he was asking me that simple question. Then I realized within the mathematical equation, it would be more. Second thing I wrote, another thing that really stuck with me was our college talk. This one time in class, Mr. Ang we had some downtime I had finished my problem, and he was just talking and asked if we had any questions about college. And some people asked questions, and I was like, okay, well, I'll ask some questions since we have a few minutes. And I asked some questions, and I found it interesting how it was a real conversation about college and not just when you go to a college class, when you're learning something. It's more he's been to college, he knows what he's talking about, and it was cool to have a one-on-one conversation with him about it. And questions I had, he answered about being a teacher. I want to be a teacher in the future, so I thought it was pretty cool how he gave me some steps and told me it was going to be okay. The next bracket was write about two of your best experiences in Mr. Ang's class. And the first thing I wrote about was, I said, one thing I remember, which is my favorite memory, was when Mr. Ang, so Mr. Ang asked us to repeat something, and he just kept saying, class, repeat this, repeat that. So I kept repeating it and repeating it. And so finally he talked, and he didn't say repeat, but I still said what he said after. And I didn't realize I was doing it, and everyone looked at me when I said it. I remember it was a big word, and I said it, and everyone turned around and was like, what is this dude doing? And I just thought it was really funny, because then he looked at me and laughed too. So, yeah. Second one was also the moment I realized I could pass Mr. Ang's class if I just applied myself. That was a pretty cool moment, because in other math classes I wouldn't feel smart enough. Taking the test, it would really affect me. And yeah, the tests affect you in Mr. Ang's class, but it's more of applying yourself. If you're really trying in this class, you will get a good grade and you will pass. In the back, it was academic, word habits, and cooperation. It was give a grade for each. And so academics, it was rigor of class. Was it appropriate for the grade level in the class? And then I gave it a grade. I said I'd give the class a C. We have plenty of opportunity to give in our work, and we also have other resources like YouTube that Mr. Ng posts videos on. So for the level we're in, like, I feel like we have juniors and seniors in the class, and I feel like the class is really, the class is easy. It's a good kind of easy. It's like, I wouldn't say easy. It's okay. That's wrong. It's not easy. It just gives us a lot of opportunities to like make up work, and that's cool. That's really cool and all, but for like some of the seniors that we have don't even take the opportunity to do that. So that kind of sucks. So that's why I gave a class a C. Oh, maybe I'd give it between a B or a C. Yeah, I wouldn't give it an A, like super easy, because it's not a super easy class. You have to apply yourself. And yeah, for work habits, dedication, the question was Mr. Ng enthusiastic, committed to the teaching profession? And I said yes. Mr. Ng is one of the best math teachers I've had. He's always excited to teach. I know he loves what he's doing, and I know he likes teaching. And he's not brought down by like anything. I say that because anytime we talk to Mr. Ng, or like some students aren't like behaving like they're supposed to, Mr. Ng just like doesn't let it bother him. He comes back into the classroom with a smile, and it's just really motivational. It's pretty cool. For cooperation, the question was Mr. Ng's conduct that of an expectational citizen and inspirational teacher? And I said very. Mr. Ng was always respectful in every way, for giving us opportunity to talk about our opinions in the class and stuff like that. Like, he always gives us an opportunity. Like, if I'm doing something, like, tell me, like, let me know so I can try to improve or change it. So Mr. Ng's always open to suggestion, and then Mr. Ng's positivity really makes me want to go back to the class. So yeah, at the end it told us to write a letter for the people in the next math class, and then it says please include what they might expect from Mr. Ng's math class and any tips for success in the class. And honestly, any tips I have for Mr. Ng's class would be just do your work. Don't have to turn in late work or anything like that with your multiplication tables. Like, it's not hard to do. Stay off your phone in this class. Don't chew gum. Don't eat. Don't talk while he's talking. Basic things you learn in elementary. Keep doing them now. To pass Mr. Ng's class, like I said, just do the homework. It's not hard homework. He'll assign like 6 problems for homework. Just do them. Just don't procrastinate on it, and you'll be fine. The biggest thing with Mr. Ng's class is not to procrastinate, because if you do procrastinate, you will be left behind, and it'll be hard to get back on track. Like with Khan Academy, if you've only done the first one and you have to turn in 600 minutes by the end of the semester, then you're at 300. You have 300 more minutes to catch up on. So just make sure you're keeping up with your Khan Academy, because Khan Academy does make a difference. So yeah, biggest thing with Mr. Ng, Khan Academy, do your Khan Academy. So yeah, that was basically it of my in my course evaluation.